complete performance from the Indian hockey team in this tournament, and they've given you. I am subtracting that particular match in which you saw 15 goals being scored because that Tajikistan side was indeed very weak. So we wanted there to be goals, we wanted there to be control, we wanted dominance from this Indian side that was showing some very good flashes. And finally, against China in the last Super Fours match, we did see that 7-zip, no chance given to China at all. Of course, they came knocking on a couple of occasions, but nothing beyond that. The defensive line was solid, but I will be talking much more about how is it that India looked going forward, because they looked like a team that could score much more than just 7 goals. But they'll be very happy. Craig Fulton will be a very happy coach at the moment, because he's had his struggles with this side because they've been up and down. As I said, they weren't able to convert those penalty corners as we saw in that game against South Korea, which in which they were reduced to 2-2. By the way, speaking of South Korea, it is the very same side that India will now be playing in Rajgir in the final. South Korea wanted a result, a good result against Malaysia. They got that. China also, by the way, were in the mix of things. Had they been able to get a win or a draw, then things could have looked different as far as the final of the Asia Cup is concerned. But China will obviously be looking at this with a lot of embarrassment. 7-0. You'll have to go back to the 1980s, because 43 years back is when India had blanked China by such a margin. A 7-0 defeat for India is historic in many ways, and what will make the coach and the team even more happy will be the fact that there were 6 different scorers. So out of the 7 goals that India scored, I will be reading out the names of all those scorers as well. 6 of them were different scorers. It was Abhishek that scored the last 2 goals of this particular match. So he's the only repeat goal scorer, but otherwise complete domination from India. And it's not just about India. If there was any other team out there which had 6 different goal scorers in an eventual scoreline of 7-0, that'll be a very, very happy team. I told you I'm going to be telling you the scorers as well. Let's first quickly look at who those scorers were for India. It started with Shilanand, who scored the first goal. By the way, beautiful first goal in which Jarmanpreet received the ball. Long balls is something we saw plenty of, and that has become a trait of this side as well. And it was Shilanand who got his stick right before the ball ended up being behind the goal. It was Dilpreet Singh after that who scored 2 goals in the first quarter. These 2 were the scorers. In the second quarter, though, there's only 1 goal scored, and that came from the stick of Mandeep Singh. However, in the third, you saw a couple of goals being scored. This time it was Rajkumar and Sukhjit Singh who scored the goals number 4 and 5. Number 6 came from Abhishek in the 46th minute, and just a few minutes later, it was Abhishek again who made it 7-0. That goal, by the way, was slick. If you want to see how well India controlled this match, take a look at the last goal. That is a very good summation, a very good summary of how well India controlled this particular match. They looked good in terms of penalty corners as well. 3 penalty corners. I'll just check that as well. 3 penalty corners, of which 2 were converted by this Indian team. Yes, I have that right. 3 penalty corners earned for India, 2 of which were converted in that 7-0 scoreline that we saw. And now, though, it will be down to India and South Korea. Again, a team that troubled India. Of course, India will have themselves to blame for the way that they performed, especially while taking the penalty corners in that particular match. 7-0, I remember it was India failing to convert any of those chances. They will have to brush aside what had happened against South Korea in the group stage and be looking at putting in a complete performance. How good is it that India turn up? That is something we'll have to wait and see. But it does look like the 2 best teams of the tournament have made it to the final. I hope you've liked our little coverage of the Asia Cup. We will be seeing you next in the final. Let's see if we can do a preview for you as well. But definitely, this is going to be the destination for you after the match gets over. And we look forward to taking some of your thoughts as well at that time. Until then, take very good care of yourselves and do subscribe to Sports Today if you haven't done so already.